Fellow gardeners, I need to share something that completely transformed my relationship with soil health. Just 3 months ago, I was staring at what could only be described as garden disappointment. My beds were compacted, lifeless patches where even the most resilient plants struggled to establish themselves. The soil felt more like concrete than the rich, crumbly earth I dreamed of. I'd invested in expensive fertilizers, hauled in bags of compost and tried every soil amendment the garden center recommended, yet my plants remained lackluster and my yields pathetic. The breaking point came when I knelt down to examine my tomato plants and realized I hadn't seen a single earthworm all season. Not one. That's when I knew my soil wasn't just struggling, it was biologically dead. But what happened next changed my entire approach to gardening, and I'm convinced it will revolutionize yours too. The ancient secret hiding in your kitchen. The answer to my soil crisis wasn't found in any garden store or expensive amendment, it was sitting right in my kitchen pantry: rice. But not just any rice preparation, fermented rice water. A technique that's been quietly transforming gardens across Asia for centuries. When I first heard about this method from an elderly Korean gardener at my local community garden, I'll admit I was skeptical. How could something so simple, so readily available, possibly solve what expensive products couldn't? The science behind fermented rice water is absolutely fascinating. During the fermentation process, beneficial bacteria and yeasts multiply exponentially, creating a living solution teeming with microorganisms that soil craves. These aren't just any microbes, they're the exact species that establish the foundation of healthy soil ecosystems. When you pour this fermented solution onto your garden beds, you're essentially inoculating your soil with millions of beneficial organisms that immediately get to work, breaking down organic matter, releasing nutrients, and creating the perfect environment for larger soil inhabitants like earthworms. Creating your garden's liquid gold. Making fermented rice water couldn't be simpler, and that's part of its genius. Start with any uncooked white rice. The cheapest variety works perfectly. Rinse the rice with clean, non-chlorinated water until the water becomes distinctly cloudy. This cloudy liquid contains starches and nutrients that will become the food source for beneficial microorganisms during fermentation. Save this cloudy water in a clean glass jar, filling it about 3/4 full to allow room for fermentation gases. Cover the jar with a breathable cloth like cheesecloth or a coffee filter, securing it with a rubber band. This allows air circulation while keeping debris out. Store your jar in a cool, dark place like a pantry or basement. The fermentation magic begins immediately, but you'll want to wait until the solution develops a slightly sour, yogurt-like aroma, typically anywhere from 24 to 48 hours depending on temperature and humidity. The transformation during fermentation is remarkable. What starts as simple starchy water becomes a complex ecosystem of beneficial bacteria, yeasts, and enzymes. You might notice small bubbles forming on the surface or a slight color change. These are positive signs that fermentation is progressing beautifully. The application that changes everything. When your fermented rice water is ready, resist the urge to apply it directly to your soil. Pure fermented solution can be too concentrated and may actually create surface crusting or attract unwanted pests. Instead, dilute it using a ratio of 1 part fermented rice water to 4 parts clean, non-chlorinated water. This dilution creates the perfect strength for soil application while ensuring the beneficial microorganisms remain active and effective. Choose a dry day for application, preferably when your soil is slightly moisture-stressed but not bone-dry. Pour the diluted solution evenly across your target garden beds, ensuring thorough saturation. I like to apply it in the early morning or late afternoon to avoid the heat of midday, which can stress the newly introduced microorganisms. The soil should be damp but not waterlogged after application. The underground revolution begins. Within 48 to 72 hours of application, the transformation begins at the microscopic level. The beneficial bacteria and yeasts from your fermented rice water immediately start colonizing the soil environment, breaking down organic matter and releasing nutrients in forms plants can readily absorb. This microbial activity creates exactly the kind of environment earthworms find irresistible. Earthworms are incredibly sensitive to soil conditions, and they're naturally drawn to areas rich in beneficial microorganisms. As these microbes break down organic matter, they create the perfect food sources that earthworms crave. The increased microbial activity also improves soil structure, creating the kind of well-aerated, moisture-retentive environment where earthworms thrive and reproduce. The first time I checked my treated beds just 3 days after application, I was absolutely stunned. Where I had previously found 0 earthworms, I discovered dozens of healthy, active worms throughout the soil profile. But, more importantly, I could actually see and feel the difference in soil structure. The previously compacted earth was becoming more crumbly and workable. Beyond worms, the complete soil transformation. While the earthworm explosion is dramatic and exciting, it's really just the visible tip of a much larger transformation happening in your soil ecosystem. Those earthworms are busy creating tunnels that improve drainage and root penetration while depositing nutrient-rich castings throughout your beds. Their constant movement helps incorporate organic matter deeper into the soil profile, creating fertility that extends well beyond the surface. The microbial activity initiated by fermented rice water continues working long after the initial application. These beneficial organisms form symbiotic relationships with plant roots, helping them access nutrients more efficiently while providing protection against harmful pathogens. The result is stronger, more resilient plants that can better withstand environmental stresses like drought, heat, or pest pressure. I've observed remarkable improvements in plant health across all my treated beds. Vegetables show more vigorous growth, deeper green foliage, and significantly improved yields. Flowers bloom more prolifically and maintain their beauty longer. Even established perennials seem reinvigorated, sending out new growth and showing improved disease resistance, maintaining your soil's new vitality. The beauty of fermented rice water lies not just in its initial impact, but in its sustainability as a long-term soil management strategy. During the growing season, I apply diluted fermented rice water every 2 to 3 weeks, adjusting frequency based on weather conditions and plant needs. Heavy rains might wash away some beneficial microorganisms, making more frequent applications beneficial. During dry spells, the applications help maintain soil moisture while continuing to feed the microbial community. Each application builds upon the previous one, creating an increasingly robust soil ecosystem. The earthworm population continues to grow and stabilize, while the diversity of beneficial microorganisms expands. Over time, you'll notice that your soil requires less external inputs because it's becoming increasingly self-sustaining. Critical success factors. Success with fermented rice water depends on a few key factors that can make or break your results. Always use non-chlorinated water for both fermentation and dilution, as chlorine kills the beneficial microorganisms you're working so hard to cultivate. If you only have access to chlorinated tap water, let it sit uncovered for 24 hours to allow the chlorine to evaporate, or use rainwater or well water if available. Timing your applications appropriately is equally important. Avoid applying during extreme weather conditions, neither during scorching heat nor freezing temperatures. The microorganisms need moderate conditions to establish themselves effectively. If you're planning to plant seeds immediately after application, wait at least a week to allow the soil biology to stabilize first. The transformation continues. What started as a desperate attempt to revive lifeless soil has become my go-to method for maintaining garden health. The fermented rice water technique represents everything I love about sustainable gardening. It's simple, cost-effective, environmentally friendly, and incredibly effective. Every time I see earthworms thriving in previously barren soil, I'm reminded of nature's amazing capacity for regeneration when we provide the right conditions. Your garden is waiting for this transformation. The ingredients are probably already in your kitchen, and the process requires nothing more than a little patience and consistent application. Join thousands of gardeners who have discovered the power of fermented rice water and prepare to witness your own earthworm explosion. Remember to subscribe to the Humus Heritage channel for more revolutionary gardening techniques that work with nature rather than against it. Share this guide with fellow gardeners who are struggling with soil health. Together, we can transform gardens one fermented application at a time. Don't forget to comment below with your own fermented rice water success stories, and subscribe for weekly updates on sustainable gardening practices that really work.